I've tried to keep quiet. I really did. For 12 years, I let everyone believe what they wanted. Accidents, exposure, maybe even bear attacks. The coroner called it inconclusive. But you're asking again. And maybe now I'm old enough, maybe broken enough to finally tell the truth. We were 17 then, Frankie, Harris, and me. Back when you could still just disappear into the woods for a weekend with no one asking much. Frankie had just gotten his license and his uncle's old Ford Bronco. We loaded it with sleeping bags, jerky, beer we weren't supposed to have, and paddled out past Smoke Lake into Big Crow. It was late October. Stupid cold to be camping. But we'd heard the fall colors were insane, and Frankie had this thing about seeing the stars where there were no lights at all. Said the sky felt older out there. We were the only ones on the lake. It was still, too still. The trees didn't even rustle. I remember paddling past a cove on the west side and seeing a narrow finger of land jutting into the lake. Tall, thin cedars packed together so tightly you couldn't see into them. The wind picked up as we passed it just for a second, and it sounded off, like something was screaming through the trees, not high-pitched, more like 1,000 low moans all blending together. Frankie said it was the wind and not to be a baby. We all laughed, but none of us said a word for the next 10 minutes. That night we made camp on the eastern shore, built a fire. Harris passed out early. Frankie stayed up with me, staring at the lake. He looked shaken, said he thought he saw a light in the cove, a green glow under the water, moving slowly, like something big swimming just beneath the surface. The next morning, Harris was gone. His sleeping bag was still zipped up in the tent. His boots were sitting neatly by the fire pit. No tracks, no struggle, just gone. We spent the entire day searching, screaming his name, climbing ridges, pushing through underbrush. The only thing we found was a path, narrow, almost hidden, that led into the thick cedar grove we'd passed the day before. Frankie didn't want to go in. I said we had to. The grove swallowed sound. No birds, no wind. The smell was foul, wet rot, and something sharp like copper. The trees were unnaturally straight, packed too close, and their trunks were dark, almost black. It wasn't just shadow. The bark oozed a thick, tar-like sap. It clung to my jacket like oil. About 20 yards in, we saw something. A clearing. Dead silent. In the middle, a circle of stones, and in the center of that, bones. Not animals. Human. Old. Arranged like someone had tried to form a shape, a spiral, or maybe a glyph. Frankie turned to leave. That's when we heard it again. The sound. That windless howl. It didn't come from the trees this time. It came from the ground. And something was watching us. I know how that sounds. But it was there. I felt it. Heavy, pressing into my chest, crawling into my ears. I couldn't breathe. Frankie started to mutter something, low and fast. Not English. I grabbed his arm. His eyes were rolled back, white and wide, like he wasn't even seeing me. I dragged him out, or I tried. But the woods didn't let us. Go easily. We got turned around. The path wasn't there anymore. The trees kept shifting, closer like they were trying to trap us. And then Frankie? He just stopped. Looked back at the clearing. He smiled, said, "He's coming." I left him. I ran. I don't remember how I made it to the lake, only that I woke up in the canoe, adrift. No paddle, just me and the sound of something deep in the water, moving beneath me, circling. I was found 2 days later by a park ranger near Smoke Creek, hypothermic and nearly mute. I said nothing about the grove, nothing about Frankie, and nothing about the sound that still sometimes comes back to me when I'm alone at night, when the wind shifts through the trees just right, and I swear I can heart the scream again. I live far from the woods now. Concrete and noise, that's what I like, but sometimes when the power goes out and the night gets real quiet, I hear them calling from the Cedars.